Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hopefully, you had a fantastic Thursday. We're almost at the end of the work week. So many things to look forward to heading into the weekend. And I wish that I had the best of best news about the forecast. Unfortunately, we are tracking multiple first alert weather days. There are 3 days in particular that we're watching very closely: Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We do the first alerts as a heads up to the potential for weather to impact things that you have to do. We do think that the most impactful day will be Saturday, but there will be some afternoon pop-up Sunday into Monday. Now, keep in mind, in all three of these days, there's a whole lot of dry time. So that doesn't mean that you need to cancel your plans. It just means that you need to be weather aware. We're going to walk you through that hour-by-hour breakdown of when we think those showers and storms are going to start to fire up. We'll do that in just a minute, but we'll start to see a little bit of that unsettled weather pattern begin to enter the area as early as tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. So there will be some spotty pop-ups. We don't expect it to be a big deal. That's why it's not a first alert weather day. Nonetheless, if you find yourself under one of those little thunderstorms, it may produce some heavy downpours, and it may cause a little bit of a slowdown in traffic. Otherwise, take a look at the temperatures right now. It is 8 o'clock, y'all, and we're still in the 80s here in Atlanta. Very warm. 83 in the city, same for Locust Grove. 84 down in Thomaston. We have 80 in Gainesville. 79 right now in Athens, and temperatures in the mountains are in the mid-70s. So everybody's loving life as far as this. If you have a pool in the backyard, most of us don't. I get it. I don't either. I have an apartment pool. But wouldn't be a bad place to be right now to hang out. It's also Thursday, and I like to talk about happy hours. So combine the two, if you know what I'm saying. Really a good vibe right now out there. Temperatures will fall into the lower 70s by around midnight. So very warm through the overnight. Cloud cover increases tonight. We have a south breeze. We're only falling to the mid-60s. So ACs are going to be on tonight, and they're going to be on cheat code or spoiler alert. They're going to be on for the next 7 days because temperatures are going to be in the 80s and above for the bulk of the next 7 days. What's up, Alex? Good evening. Alex, let me know where you're joining us from in the YouTube chat. Let's get you through tomorrow, which I expect to be mainly dry. There's a 30% chance of some pop-ups. It's mainly in the afternoon. I think you're okay for the morning drive, maybe a hit-or-miss sprinkle in extreme North Georgia. Things start to bubble up as we head into the afternoon, and you can see that showers and storms are firing up mainly in East Georgia, but there's some stuff moving out of Alabama, and that's going to bring in the late evening rain chance as we head closer to 11, 12. East Point in the house. Sorry, I'm kind of spazzing out a little bit. Yeah, there's a chat. That is going to be basically going south from here. Okay. Yeah. Blair Miller is in the house. He's going to be joining us. Yeah. Blair is, as you know, he's new here. I'm new here too, but he's newer than me, so he's still learning the layout. There's so many communities that make up the metro. I'm going to get you together. We're going to go down to East Point. I know there's some good eats down there.
I'm all about the food tour.
We like good eats. Alex, if you have any recommendations out in East Point, drop those in the comments. What's up, Loud and Clear? Loud and Clear is joining us. Let us know where you're at, too. But I think that Friday, all in all, is going to be a solid day, a little warm, a little sticky, and some afternoon pop-ups, mainly later in the day, and pretty isolated, so nothing that's terrible. So driving to work, 69 degrees as you're punching the clock, low 70s for the afternoon. Warm tomorrow, but not as warm as the numbers we saw today. I expect us to only tap out in the low to mid 80s, depending on where you are. So I think the kids are pretty set for their evening ride home or the afternoon ride home on the bus. I don't think there's going to be rain to really impact that. For most of us, there will be some pop-ups east of the city, but I think the metro's okay. Temperatures are going to fall into the 70s as we get closer to 9 o'clock tomorrow night. If you're getting out into the streets, still do it. There's some pop-ups around, but I don't expect those pop-ups to be enough to say, you know what, it's Friday night, I'm going to stay inside. Who does that? No, get out. Just have the First Alert Weather app. We'll let you know where those pop-ups are. We'll tell you if there's some lightning in your neighborhood. Otherwise, it's a little wet. You'll be okay. Loud and Clear, West Side in the house. Loud and Clear is joining us from Cascade. I do want to make sure that just in case there are some viewers that are joining us on Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, and this is your first time, it may sound like we're spazzing out. We're actually live on YouTube at the same time as this show is airing on our digital platform. And this is a good way for us to communicate with our viewers. Sometimes it's just good vibes like it is right now. Annette
Instant
George.
feedback.
Yes, instant feedback.
Instant.
And let's not play like y'all don't have opinions, because I've gotten a couple of emails. I've been going through weight struggles, and somebody said that my suit fit me a little snug about 3 months ago. That's why I've been running and dieting. So y'all have feedback. Go ahead and give it to us right now here live in this stream.
Holding back.
Annette George is joining us from Australia.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Awesome.
I'm jealous. What part of Australia? Melbourne, right? Melbourne.
I think
I'm
you said
country.
right.
I say everything wrong.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Perth, Sydney. Let us know where you're at. Let's get to do the rest of this forecast. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked, y'all. I'm enjoying the conversations in the chat, by the way. Saturday is the first alert weather day. It's the first of 3. We kind of talked about that. There will be a little bit of energy around in the morning, but I think that if you're running in a race, because there's all kind of 5Ks, 10Ks, triathlons, and everything else going on right now every weekend, I think you're still okay. It looks to be pretty isolated. I know this looks like it's overdoing it a little bit. This is long-range data. I really do believe that this is going to be spotty in the morning. I think the better opportunity for more widespread rain, convection, thunderstorms will arrive in the afternoon, 2, 3, 4. This is a day that if you're doing brunch, still do it. Just probably ask for the indoor table if you're making reservations. Don't chance it, unless, of course, you have the First Alert Weather app on your phone and you can watch radar, live radar, and be like, okay, it's 100 miles to the west. I think we're good for now. That's something that the First Alert Weather app does well. So FYI, I do this all the time when I'm doing reservations and stuff. But heads up, pop-up showers and storms in the afternoon. They die down as we head into the evening because they are driven by, we call it diurnal heating, but it's basically just the heating of the day. The sun warms up a very moist pocket of air, and you get growth, cloud growth, thunderstorm growth, all that good stuff. Once you lose the sun, things quiet down, and that's what we expect to happen as we head into the evening, and things are pretty quiet through the overnight into the start of your Sunday. Sunday morning's good. You're going to church. It's nice and comfy, mid-60s, but things start to bubble back up in the afternoon. Sunday fun day is my favorite day of the week. And unfortunately, in the afternoon, things are going to be firing up a little bit. Not as widespread as what we expect to happen on Saturday, but enough to put a damper on things. And whenever we talk about pop-up thunderstorms, we're also talking about lightning. And there's shaky knees, which I got grilled on after the stream last night by our own digital producer, Ellie.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah, the Foo Fighters, yeah. I got a class on the Foo Fighters. I had some music played by the Foo Fighters. Y'all got me together in this room. I'm not even mad at you.
Because you thought Foo Fighters.
I thought
What was
I
the
thought
song?
that this is embarrassing. I thought the Foo Fighters were the people that sang "Everybody was kung fu fighting." So that's why I said what I said in the stream last night about thinking that it was like, 40, 50 years ago, like I was before my
No.
time. That's why I said that.
This is still part of their time. Yeah.
But apparently this
Anyway.
this is new,
Sorry
so
to
here we
blast
are.
you
Anyways, back to the Sunday forecast. The afternoon is where things get unstable. It's where it gets unsettled. There's going to be pop-up showers and storms. Meteorologist Cutter Martin will be here in the studio tracking those storms for you live on Sunday. Right now, the severe weather risk is very low, but doesn't mean you're not going to get heavy downpours, lightning, some small hail, and some gusty winds, 30, 40 miles per hour gusts in some of these stronger storms. So still something we're watching, of course, as we head through the day. Once again, as we head into the evening hours, we lose the sun, things quiet down. Gradually, we expect those rain chances to diminish as we head into Sunday night. Loud and Clear said, bro. I'm guessing he was talking about the kung fu fighting. Listen, I'm sorry. Listen,
I mean, that's not even close.
I listen to
That's what's
country
so funny
music, I
about
listen to R&B, I listen to hip hop, and a little bit of rap. But everything else that's on the spectrum, it's like I listen to a little bit of soft rock, a little bit of pop, but like from my day, like Matchbox 20,
Yeah.
Blink 182. Like I listen to that kind of stuff, but like not the current day version of it. So
Because Foo Fighters was pretty big in the late 90s, I think, is what we figured out, right?
yes,
And still, I still.
yeah, apparently. So listen here.
Anyway.
Go and get out there and get your life. Once we get past all of this, the big thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be the humidity, because everybody's thinking, rightfully so, we're talking about a summer-like pattern with afternoon pop-ups. So what's going on with the dew points? Well, the dew points are getting into the low to mid-60s. Once they're in the low 60s, things are sticky. You get it to the mid to upper 60s, you're starting to get humid. So we're going to be very borderline humid as we head into the weekend and honestly for the next 4 or 5 days afterwards.
But is that normal this time? Like this early?
It's pretty normal.
Okay.
You know, like we're just in that area where the wind shift. You know, May is normally you're
Yeah.
starting that transition into summer-like conditions, so you get those pop-up showers and storms. You get all of the things that typically come with summer. And believe it or not, even though hurricane season starts officially June 1st, you also typically get tropical systems starting to develop. We had a system out in
I
the
remember you guys
Atlantic
were talking about that,
last
right.
week that had a 10% chance of development because the waters are
Right,
warming.
already warm.
So I think out of the last 8 or 9 years, there have been tropical systems that have developed in May 7 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think last year was the first time that it didn't happen, like because it had been happening every year.
Huh.
So there was even
interesting.
like a little bit of a conversation in the meteorological world. Obviously not with me because I don't make those choices, but you know, we go to all these conferences and stuff talking about different things that are new and fresh in weather because it is a very young science. You know, we have a handle on it for the most part, but it's young.
Sure.
But they were considering starting hurricane season May
season early.
15th. Yeah. That kind of got voted down because more data. You want to see more data. You want to go off of more just the 7 or 8 year trend. So they'll probably study this and maybe like in 10, 15
Yeah.
more years, they may make a change,
That's
but I don't
interesting.
see that happening immediately. Lindsay Bazier, Lindsay Bass. How about my volleyball tournament in Snellville?
Ooh.
Basie, is that, could that be it? Lindsay Basie?
Can't say it.
Basie, Basil. How about my? I know her, by the way. I'm just joking with her. That's why I'm saying that. One of my friends. How about my volleyball tournament in Snellville Saturday all day? Your favorite baller needs to know. There's going to be some timeouts. There's going to be some extended timeouts, especially for the afternoon segment of your volleyball tournament. So just be prepared for that. Hopefully, Lindsay, being that you know me personally, you have the First Alert Weather app downloaded, locked and loaded in your phone so that you can track those storms and be my voice out there on the volleyball court. And maybe you should invite, you know, our main anchor who works at 11 o'clock at night because apparently she loves volleyball.
She's slightly a volleyball fan, right?
Slightly,
Have
like
you heard
low-key
her talk about
slightly.
it once in a while?
Yeah. It seems like summer is coming on strong. Loud and Clear says that. It is, and I'm not ready, but I'm from Louisiana. I'm true to this. I'm not new to this.
I know. That's what I
So-
keep thinking. I was thinking today walking the dogs, what's August going to be like
Yeah.
if this is what we're
Yeah. It's going to be steamy. Can guarantee it. Enjoy it being as manageable as it is out there. Let's get you through this 7-day forecast, y'all. I'm sorry, there's a lot of folks here, and we're
a lot to say, don't we?
Yeah,
Everybody's got a lot to say tonight.
A lot to say. I'm with it. I am with it. Keep it coming. So obviously, the big point from this graphic, the takeaway, is that dew points are getting into this low to mid 60s. We don't talk about dew points a whole lot on TV. Whenever they're in the teens and the 20s, I'm always telling you to wear your chapstick and your lotion because you're going to get ashy. When they get into the mid 60s, upper 60s, you could probably miss an application or two because it's going to be humid, and that's one of our signs. That's one thing that we look at and track. So taking you to the 7-day forecast, which is what most folks stick around for the newscast for. Rain chances are with us. That southerly flow is going to lead to at least some afternoon pop-ups for the bulk of this 7-day forecast. Temperatures are going to continue to trend warmer. And we're going to be flirting with 90 degrees on Wednesday. I will not be surprised if several communities hit 90 on Wednesday. I think our big story here is just going to be the rain chances this weekend. And I want to make sure that it's clear and everyone receives that it's not going to be a washout any day of the forecast. It's just those afternoons are going to be real hit or miss. And it's one of those things with those summer-like patterns. It's not a front moving in. It's not a boundary. It's not a short wave. It's afternoon energy doing what it does. And it fires up, and it's one of those things we can see when the ingredients are there, and we have to kind of, we call it nowcasting. We track the storms where they're going, and we tell you, hey, it's going to arrive in East Point at 4:21 p.m., down in Fayette County at 4:41, whatever the case may be. That's how we track pop-up storms that are diurnally driven. So now you've had a little bit of meteorological education, and that's not what you came here for. I hope that you have been enjoying our conversation. It is not over yet.
We've learned a lot tonight with hurricane season and
Yeah,
everything. That's
yeah, it's a little bit of an educational moment that didn't seem like I was teaching. True story, I taught.
Did you really?
Yeah, I taught physics at North
You
Carolina
did?
A&T. Yeah,
Oh, I have many questions about
yeah.
that. So.
You know, I have a master's in physics.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
Wow.
I try to keep the nerd inside.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That
try to
helps
keep
you with
them
everything
inside.
you're doing.
Yeah,
It
because
does.
meteorology and physics
Yeah,
are brothers, and
absolutely does.
meteorology was actually in the School of Physics at North Carolina A&T. So,
Were you doing weather at the same time, or were you?
well, I had my bachelor's in meteorology at the time, and I was in grad school working on my master's.
Okay.
My master's was physics, but my research was all atmospheric science, which is meteorology. Nerd moment.
real
Sorry,
smart.
not bragging. Just Blair asked a question I was answering.
Subtly put that in.
Yeah, a little
You've
subtle.
been waiting all
a
day
little
for
subtle
that
moment. Yeah. Anyways, I mentioned that we're not done yet. I have concluded the forecast part of this segment, but there's some more to come because we have breaking news. Listen, the world's a mess. Stuff's happening every day.
It's a wild time, as we get closer to election, it is a wild time.
It is.
I think people are seeing some of that, and it's been a wild week when we talk about the news, really talking about this protest we've seen at Emory, but it's been pretty wild, Patrick.
Oh yes, drink your water, hydrate, folks, and get in the shade.
Yeah, let me shift on over here, but yeah, it's just been a wild week with everything that's been happening. Talking about the protests that really we started to see early on this week at Emory University, shifted to UGA, and we've seen it all across the country with a number of arrests. And today, thank you very much. So thank you, Patrick. Appreciate that. But yeah, we talked about those protests, and just today, hearing from the president on this and breaking his silence on this about the wave of pro-Palestinian protests we've seen on college campuses all across this country here today, and we've seen the video just play out with so much that's been going on. And at Emory University today, we had crews out there once again. Students and advocates have spent the last 2 weeks demanding an end to the violence in the Middle East. The demonstrations have been growing tense, even more violent on some campuses. President Biden today said he will not be deploying the National Guard troops to this, and that's been a big question for lawmakers in Washington. What should be the state how should states respond to this? But he says the images coming in from across the country have put American principles to the test. Now, we also learned today that police have arrested more than 2,000 people during these pro-Palestinian protests on U.S. campuses here in recent weeks. But another big development in this today, if we're talking about what's happening here in our backyard, especially with Emory University, now the federal government's getting involved, launching an investigation into Emory University. The U.S. Department of Education is investigating alleged anti-Muslim discrimination on campus after students filed a complaint from April 5th where they claim the university is guilty of, quote, severe anti-Palestinian, anti-Arab, and Islamophobic discrimination. But this comes less than a week after Emory called in Atlanta police officers to arrest some of those protesters on campus. And this is some of the video you're seeing. It's been less tame out there since then. And dedicated students are maintaining their stance there while protesting. And they continue to demand an end to the war in Gaza. We have had reporters out there all week long. And then again today to see what's happening. Here's some of what they've been saying.
I'm Patrick Quinn from the campus of Emory University, and you can almost feel this community just exhale today. It's the first day in 6 days where there hasn't been a rally here on campus. I spent much of the day walking around, talking with students and staff members just to gauge where things are at. For some students, they don't know what's next in terms of the protests because they don't know if they can protest or how, fearing that they could be arrested if they come out and voice any concerns around the Israel-Hamas war. For some professors, they would like to see improved communication, improved safety here on campus. For some people, the next big question mark is commencement. Right now, it's scheduled for May 11th and 13th on the quad here at Emory, but people are recognizing the political tension. They hope to see it go on, but there still is a lot outstanding here on campus.
That report from Patrick Quinn, who's been out there all week long and then again today, and he said there was a sense of people were taking a breath today from all the protests that we've seen out there all week long at times. Really just so much tension out there. But today seems like it's been a bit of a different story. We'll see how this unfolds over the next few days as we get closer to graduation, not only here at Emory or UGA, but at campuses all across the country. It's been something we've been watching here in our newsroom. Every single night we've been watching the live pictures come in from different universities. This next story really has to do with the charges that you pay when you go to a concert, there's so many fees that we now pay if you want to go to a big concert in an arena or somewhere to see your favorite artist, and it can get pretty expensive. So now it's interesting because City Council's been talking about this week, and what they've been looking at is a surcharge that's being proposed on some of the higher profile events that could help Atlanta's fire department pay for some vital equipment. The fire union says this is a creative way to help fund public safety departments that are in dire need of additional resources, and we've reported on that with first responders, facing cuts. And they say this could add up to millions of dollars each year and be used to help pay for some of the fire trucks, specifically with the Atlanta Fire Department. Lawmakers are talking about this, and they plan to bring the bill back to the next legislative session and are doing additional lobbying with lawmakers to help ensure it moves forward. There's not a clear timeline of when this might take place, but certainly could maybe be $2 or $3 per ticket. It really depends on how many tickets there are and what kind of concert we're talking about. But we'll have to see how that unfolds with lawmakers here over the next few months is what they're looking at when we look at this timeline. A story that caught our attention here in the newsroom today is some wild video of a takedown that has to do with a scam involving the elderly. It seems like we're reporting on this just more and more, the elderly scammed and hundreds of thousands of dollars taken out of their bank accounts. And this was a pretty wild story, and we had our Adam Murphy on it today. And here's some of what he found out today.
I'm Adam Murphy outside the Cherokee County Jail, where detectives say they busted a criminal enterprise targeting senior citizens. Now, detectives arrested 27-year-old Parth Patel in connection with an international scam involving hundreds of thousands of dollars. Investigators said an 80-year-old resident of Cherokee County received a phone call a couple of weeks ago from a person claiming to be with Amazon regarding an iPhone purchase. The victim said she didn't buy a phone. The caller then explained to the victim that someone must have stolen her identity and that she needed to take steps to ensure her finances were secure. She was transferred to several people, and then the elderly victim ultimately wired money and even handed over gold, totaling $150,000. The FBI in Atlanta and Homeland Security are now involved in trying to get to the bottom of this criminal enterprise.
And that report from Adam Murphy, who was looking into this today, and I think there was a time when many people would say, oh, you can't fool me, talking about maybe your parents or something. I think about my parents a lot when they may call me and say, is this real or is this a scam? And these scams are being pulled off a lot easier now because it's a lot harder to figure out because these criminals are getting more sophisticated, unfortunately, with how they're pulling this off. So that's the latest we have tonight here from the First Alert Breaking News Desk. We're going to have more on all these stories and more tonight. Here in our newsroom, we're working on putting together the 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock newscasts. Myself will be there tonight at 11 o'clock, along with my co-anchor, Sean Gables. We will be there tonight, bringing you all the day's news, and we will hear from meteorologist Fred Campagna and Patrick Peak. We'll all be there at 10 and 11 to bring you the latest forecast as well as we approach that weekend. So thanks so much for joining us here this evening. I hope you have a great rest of the night.